سلام علیکم جور تازه تکرار بخیر خدا کنه خوب باشین جور باشین خوش شدیم از دیدنتان پیش از پیش دیگه سید خواهران و برادران عزیز افغان ما brothers and sisters how you been سلام علیکم خانم طایب خوش آمدین سید you're the lucky one you're the first one so thank you it's your lucky day you should go and buy a lottery but thank you hope you're well hope family is well. Today we are going into very spiritual conversations, which I must have mentioned during the last time with Ustad Yusuf Mistaq John. So his partner in the initiative called Bedar, which is very spiritual initiative. You can find it on Instagram, obviously. So there's a lot to talk about our guest today, our honorable guest today. So I'll give you a very brief introduction before we bring her on. She's a African-American female tech founder, teacher and healer, obviously, no doubt a teacher and a healer. We all know her works through her Insta and her website and all the other works that she has done and she is doing. She's actually studied very deeply into philosophy and different forms of religion and spirituality. She's very well knowledgeable in those principles. She's actually a CEO of a startup and co-founder called I Ascend, a social marketplace for holistic health and healing experiences. She works with clients who deal with PTSD and terminally ill, and that's a very, very big thing, because at the moment, for the past 10 or 15 decades, even more we've had PTSD among our people and so on. So this is a very in-depth work and a very noble work that she has been putting in. But most of all, today, why are we here? And what are we going to talk about is because our guest, she's a master in 3 types of Reiki. Now for me, Reiki, I don't know what it was before actually being introduced to Bedar and our beautiful guest today. She is a certified master in 3 types of Reikis. I'm going to try to actually pronounce this correctly as best as I can. Usu, so that's one type of Reiki, and Angelic Reiki, which no doubt. But she's also has created her own method of Reiki called the Cosmic Reiki. So this was a very, very little and brief introduction about our beautiful guest today. We'll just wait for her to come online, to come and join us, so she could give us more in-depth details about the work that she has been putting in and what we can learn from this and how we can actually implement all these beautiful spiritual actions or practice them into our life for better humanity, our culture, and our society. So, without further ado, the teacher, the master, the entrepreneur, and the literal princess, actually, Farah Siddiq.
Hi, Limajan. How are you?
I am very well. How are you? Welcome to Voices from the Mountain.
I'm so happy to be here.
We are honored. We are honored. Thank you very much for making it here. As you know, I did mention this before with Ustad Yusuf John, that I have been harassing you two for a very long time. Very long time. I'm a very persistent
You've been persistent.
person.
I don't like to say that it was a harassment, but you were persistent.
Yeah. You're very kind. You're very kind. Only because when I find something which could be very important for our people and humanity in general, I cannot let that go. So I have to feel it myself, and I have to find the people and let them know about it. So I mean, I have never really chased anyone else in my life. but when it comes to our people and the good that we can do and the noble work that you guys have been putting out, of course, I drop all the personal, the egos and whatnot, and I just beg. So thank you very much. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank
We're
you.
honored. We're honored. Thank you.
Thank you.
You, before we go into any of this, I have to say you do actually look and you actually portray this angelic Reiki as of now. You look angelic, beautiful. God bless you.
Thank you.
God bless you.
Thank you. No,
Bravo.
I want to, before we start, I want to tell you that, you're doing a service to our people, having these like very real, very raw conversations that are unique. And, one of the things that like is important about my work is that everybody shines in their own uniqueness. And you're doing the same thing with your work, with these conversations, and just keep doing them because they're really great, they're really raw, they're very real, and it's what the world needs.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, dear teacher, dear master, the mother healer. Thank you very much. You just gave me a boost of confidence, so thank you very much. And I hope that there would be a day that there was no need for a person like me to give himself the audacity to sit and represent, because I'm a nobody. But if no one else is doing it, or people are doing it in a very wrong manner for personal gains or PR or whatever, then people like us have to step in. But we'll leave that aside. We'll get into it right away. So how do you feel? You feel good? You warmed up? Yeah?
Yeah, I feel good. I feel good.
All right. So as we do this, as we always do, I have this icebreaker, right? We have this rapid fire round.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna get you fired up. And I hope that you're already fired up with that song that's kind of my ritual.
You threw me back into metal days with the Triple X soundtrack and Rammstein, and as soon as you sent it, I told you I didn't even have to hit play. I was like, I heard it in my head. I was like,
that's it.
Rock on, man.
That's it. Beautiful. All right. We're gonna rock it on. All right, sir. Ustad Muhtaram, dear teacher, Farah Siddiq. So, if you could meet one historical figure and you could ask them one thing, what would that be and who would that be?
This is a tough question for me. I'm gonna need a minute.
Sure.
Mother Mary.
Mother Mary.
The mother of Jesus. Isa.
Of Isa, yes.
Mother Mary.
And what would you ask them?
In the Quran, she's Maryam. She's Sayyiduna. She's Siddiqa. She has all these different names in the Quran. I've had like a very strong connection with Mother Mary throughout my life, and she represents divine compassion and healing and love and service. And what would I ask her? I would, you think about the story of Mary and you think about, okay, the angel Gabriel came to you, told you that you're going to get pregnant with the prophet. And, at that time, like, how are you handling all of that, Mary? All of that information. How are you handling, the Immaculate Conception, becoming pregnant out of nowhere, right? So these are the questions I would ask, is like, how is she handling all of that?
That is wonderful. That's pretty cool answer, I think, because I have asked a lot of my guests these questions and we go back and forth. But this is a beautiful question and a very fundamental thing to ask, actually. How did she process this whole thing. Beautiful. Okay. And I do have to point this out that most people may not know this, but Hazrat Isa alayhi salam, Jesus, is actually known by his mother's name throughout the Islamic history and Quran. So that tells us a little bit about the prestige and the position of a woman in Islam.
And
I just had
this
to
is
say
the
that.
divine.
I always
This is the divine feminine, and
indeed.
another historical figure, feminine, is Bibi Hadija. Like, she is, so incredible and such an important person in history. My mother really talked a lot about her when I was younger, and also when my mother was doing all this women's work in Afghanistan, Women's Association, Business Association, entrepreneurship development. I was helping her with creating these booklets sometimes and these proposals and stuff. And the first page of every single thing that she would create was the story of Bibi Hadija. And because what it would do was it would activate the Afghan women to know that this was their example of someone that was so spiritually strong, that was a businesswoman, that was a mother, that was in service to humanity. She was doing charity all the time. So yeah, there's a lot of divine feminine in Islam, and it needs to be talked about more.
Bravo, bravo, beautifully said, beautifully said. And I hope that our people today, especially the young generation, would do their own research as well and look up to those individuals. Thank you very much for pointing that out, Ustad Muhtaram. All right, second question. Are you a foodie person? Are you a food lover?
I like food.
You like food?
I enjoy food.
Okay, fair enough. So, if you had to choose between these two, food without salt or life without laughter throughout your life, what would you choose?
You mean which one can I have, or which one can I have to do without?
Yes, which one you can do without?
Oh, I have to have laughter in my life. There's no way.
Okay.
I have to have it.
Bravo.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can do well with food without salt.
Yeah. I fast a lot, so I'm okay with that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Subhanallah. Okay. All right, you should try it for a week, maybe sometime, and let me know after a week how you go with that without the whole thing. Yeah. Okay, cool. All right.
Yeah.
Bless you. All right. So, if you could journey through time, past, which point of time would you like to go? What's the one fundamental thing you would like to change for better?
You mean like an event?
Anything.
An event in history.
Event in history, be it religious history, the mankind history, the scientific history, anything. You can even take away the Newton's tree and he would not exist. So that's up to you.
No apple falling on his head, huh?
No apples. Yeah, you can take that away.
Okay. I would burn the paper that created the Duran line.
Oh, bless you. Bravo.
That's what I would do. I would, and maybe the Balfour Declaration, which is the Palestinian version of the Duran line.
Bravo.
Because borders and imperialism, this is what has created what is happening today.
Beautiful. That just touched my heart, and I know it will touch millions of hearts when they actually listen to this, and hopefully inshallah they will in time Ah, God, okay, that was strong. Beautiful. Thank you very much. All right, so if you were told what the future holds, if you knew what the future would look like, you had that secret in your head, would you share it with people, even if it created chaos?
Well, you're saying that if I shared it with people, it would create chaos.
It might, because the future we don't know, like I don't know, it might give a upper hand to one nation, to one party, to some specific tribe, and the others don't know it today. But if they know about it, that might create that ripple effect of chaos. But would you
Well,
want to share it with?
this is the thing, is that I would have to know, it would have to be conditional on what it was, because if that information is given to me, there is divine will too. And if I'm given that information, is it just for me? Or am I going to meddle in divine will and, basically change the course of whatever's supposed to happen? So it really depends on like what I'm supposed to do with that information. Is it something I'm supposed to hold? Or is it something that, if I, like you said, if it's something that is going to cause chaos, then I might be messing with divine will.
So are you trying to say that you would need guidelines that if you could share it or not? But if it's left to you, what would you do? If it's left to you, like there has been, sorry, in the past, revelations being made to saints, prophets, messengers. Some of them have been told that go and reveal it. Some have not been told what to do with it. Right.
To reveal
this is the word. This is the word. So now it's up to you. Right. So
I think
because
I
if you hold it,
I think it's it's funny because it's like very relevant for me. I think it's one of those things where an idea or a vision, it has its time to be revealed.
bravo, there you go.
Okay,
that's
we hold all of us hold a unique vision of how we see the world, or how we want to be in this world, or if we have an idea. But sometimes you just are supposed to hold it, and then your soul knows, your heart knows that in due time that the world will be ready to receive your idea.
Bravo. See, that's just beautiful answer. That's the balance. That is the balance. Thank you very much. So every word has its own time.
Yes.
Specific
I believe that.
you can
I
share.
really believe that.
Bravo. All right. So the last one. This gives you. I will try to give you this image, and you have to say, because me and thousands of other people look at you as a teacher. Right? So we value your word a lot, your intuition, your spirit knowledge, right? So imagine waking up in a room and you don't remember who you are. You don't remember who you are. There's a window on one side of the room. There's a door on the other side of the room. There are labels on each of this. The window says, this will give you a view of a utopian world. Everything is perfect, but you can only look. Okay? And the door says, you can go back to the world where you came from. You can try changing things, but you don't know who you are. Which one would you choose?
So the utopian one, I know who I am. Right?
Well, you're in the room. You're in the room, so you still don't know who you are, but you can have a view of a beautiful, perfect world. You're just looking at it, and everything is perfect, everything is beautiful, but you're locked in this room. You can have a look. You don't know who you are, but you can have a look. But the door gives you back your life, but still you don't know before going out.
But
It may be chaos.
You're basically talking about, that's the door of the seeker.
Ah, there you go. Bravo. Okay.
That's the
Give
door.
us a little bit then.
The seeker does.
Okay.
The seeker is not gonna pick the utopia.
Okay. You're gonna use the door and go out and seek.
Yeah.
But the eventual, I should say, the eventuality of the seeker, are they looking for a perfect world for everyone else, or they just want their own contribution to go into it?
No, I think that the seeker is always looking for the highest truth within themselves. That is not, that may, I mean, it may not be a universal truth. It might be a universal truth. You don't know, because based on like our perception, our consciousness, we do have our own unique perspectives. We all have our own unique experiences, but there is an interconnectedness between all of us, which is what's so amazing right now, with this shift in consciousness that's happening. And I think that it's the seeker doesn't ever master themselves. Like they never would call themselves a master. Like when you say ustad or master, like I still, like, I can't say that I'm a master, even if I'm titled like in this physical reality, like angelic Reiki master, cosmic Reiki master, all these titles, right? That's just because I'm a master, because I'm a teacher. That's just the title. But as far as the word master, we are constantly mastering ourselves. Our souls are infinite. Like,
Bravo.
there's no hierarchy here. We're all limitless in all the levels that we can seek and master. And then it's like, once we master one level, it's the next level. And that's what's happening with, how timely this talk is, because we have the eclipse on Saturday morning, and that's a next level for all of us.
Well, I should say that the one thing does makes you a master. You're humble. And that's a trait.
I try. I have to.
God bless you.
You're too kind. I always say that the more spiritual a person is, the more, like, shadow they have, because the more you expand your consciousness, the more energy you can hold. It's not just your capacity to hold light, it's your capacity to hold the darkness. And that's what real alchemy is when you pick up that darkness, when that shadow does get activated. I'm no saint. I always say that, the saint was once a sinner. And
Bravo.
and we can't just say like, oh, this person is perfect and this and this and that, because we do have the capacity to evolve. We do have the capacity to like, it's this thing about mastering your demons within yourself, mastering your shadow within yourself, evolving, being better. And that's why people, like I said, that can hold a lot of darkness, they're very spiritual, because they know that they needed to go through the alchemy, and that they needed to attain the wisdom that comes with alchemy, and to really understand, like, how can I alchemize my darkness into light? And especially in a world where right now all we see is trauma, all we see is darkness.
Darkness is in abundance. Bravo.
Yeah.
Exactly. Beautiful, beautiful. Ustad, as you say, I'm not a Ustad, but
I'm just
for
Farah.
me, and I know a lot of
I'm just Farah.
people,
That's
you
all
are
I am.
Ustad.
I'm just Farah.
Farah Z. Thank you very much. That was a beautifully done job with that rapid fire. We already learned so much, and we went really in depth, and the replies were obviously phenomenal.
Thank you.
We learned a lot. Thank you very much. getting into the, as I say, the meat and potatoes. So some people may not know. The master healer, the mother healer, has been a musician in Kabul. Nowhere else but in Kabul, Afghanistan. She has been a DJ. Yeah, the Kabul bubble. All right, give us a little bit about your time as a musician and experience of Kabul bubble. What was Kabul bubble? What is Kabul bubble? I know about it.
Because you and I were there at the same time during Kabul bubble. Kabul.
I know, three streets apart. Exactly.
Yeah. So, you know, I was there. This was like in astrology, they call it your Saturn return, which is like the hardest and most darkest karmic time in your life. And, you know, I was in a really, really dark, that was probably the darkest place that I was ever in, energetically, just personally, mentally, emotionally, everything. And you know, because I am psychic and I can feel and I can hear things and I can see, I see visions and everything. I was having a lot of things happen where like attacks would happen right after I would have a vision. Like I walk into a place and it would be on fire, and then 2 weeks later a suicide bombing would happen there. And I thought I was going crazy. And I started to start mixing, and I started to just like play music and start mixing. I was writing a lot, and I was channeling all the energy of like the ancestors and the spirits that were there. And again, you know, it goes back to what I was talking about, this capacity to hold the darkness and alchemize. And if anything, that was my training ground over there.
Wow.
And, you know, there was one time that, you know, I got some opium, and again, I'm not advocating it. It was when in
Kids
Rome.
don't use drugs.
Hey, I was like, hey, when in Rome, right?
Exactly.
So I had some of it, and something happened to me. Like my DNA, my ancestors came through. They were like, like we know this medicine, right? And you know, it's the medicine of the mystics from the past. And I remember making all these mixes after I tried it. And I actually put one of those mixes on my SoundCloud. It's actually called Opium. So,
wow.
But what was happening was I was feeling the energy of these kind of spirits that are in limbo state in Afghanistan. So I'll explain. Because Afghanistan has had a lot of sudden death, tragic death, there's a lot of distressed souls there. So what happens is that these souls kind of get stuck in between, you know, these spiritual planes, the physical plane and the spiritual plane. And so, you know, I had them coming to me every night, talking to me, you know, and they were telling me like, kill yourself. They were telling me to die.
Oh.
Yeah. Are
we speaking about like some sort of a haunting?
Oh,
I mean, some sort of a hauntings. Yeah.
Afghanistan, it's ghosts.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ghosts, and there's a lot of, but the thing is that there's a lot of different types of energy there. It's mystical, right? For a reason, because as much as there was these dark energies there was also my ancestors that were protecting me from all these attacks that were happening. But as far as the music is concerned, you know, I was DJing like at parties and stuff like that. And, you know, it was kind of like a surreal thing. Like I'm DJing in a war zone, you know, and, but at the same time, it's like I was trying to just, you know, move energy. That's what I was doing, is I was trying to move energy with the music. and everybody was feeling it like in their heart, and it was opening their hearts. And to do that in a place like Kabul, which I personally, I don't like Kabul energy at all. I used to find peace when I would leave Kabul, like when I would go to like Jabal Saraj, or I would go to Wardak, or I would go to Pahman is my favorite. Um, you know, there was something about Kabul, the energy and the vibration of Kabul that was suffocating for me. And anytime I went to the provinces, I felt this overwhelming like sense of peace because it was so pure and it was so simple, and you know, there's nowhere like that in the world.
Does it have to do anything with the environment of how it was? All the I should say rifles on the ground, armored vehicles, all these bulletproof compounds, all these big chunks of concrete everywhere. Does it has anything to do with that as well?
Yeah, of course it does. It has to do with like what I heard, like there's like it's the highest concentrated space for spies and city for spies in like the world. It was like what, like over 100,000 spies are just in Kabul. Jasusa. But you know,
The hub, yeah.
and it's a city on edge, right? It's a city
Yeah.
of like just this extreme fear and this extreme edge. That's why, like, anytime, and maybe you notice this, anytime you're driving out of Kabul, your energy shifts.
It was just opening up. Yeah, yeah, yeah. True, true, true. What sort of a music you play? Was it just electronic, or you mix Afghan
So
music,
it was
electronic?
electronic, but I mixed in the Afghan music with it.
Nice.
So like at that time, it was all about Siddiq Shabab.
Ah,
Okay, you know, Laila Dera Khasta, you
bravo. Okay,
know.
okay. All right, all right.
These are my
And
favorites.
your audience were locals or expats?
Everyone.
Everyone. Okay.
And
All
that
right.
was the amazing thing. That it wasn't just expats, it was Afghans, it was locals, it was everyone together.
Beautiful, beautiful. Bravo, bravo. And give us a little bit about your own idea and your own perception of this whole phenomenon called Kabul bubble. This literally this bubble, this kind of a safe haven which was there.
Well,
What do you say
Kabul,
about
I
that? How
think,
do you
well,
describe
Kabul bubble was it was the expat bubble that was
it?
created um, for the expat community within Kabul.
Yep.
And it was um, it was very fascinating. Honestly, it was fascinating to see it. It was fascinating to see what kind of people were in Kabul, like what people's intentions were. Why were they there? What were they doing? Were they doing things that were impactful? Were they just there because they were getting like $20,000 a month and like 3 weeks vacation and, you know, this and this and that? But for the most part, what I saw was that, you know, we talk about this darkness and we talk about this matching of wounds, right? And the reason that I think a lot of these expats were there was that there is something deep in them that aligned and mirrored with the suffering of the people. And that was them doing their alchemy there.
Do
I
you
really feel
think
that.
do you think that this whole expat darkness, because we know Afghanistan as the land of the martyrs, right? Sarzamin Shohada.
Oh,
And do you think that all these, perhaps some of it, hypocrisy among the expats and their own darknesses, which they came to
oh yeah.
Afghanistan to feed and feast, did it actually awaken those holy spirits and disturb them? And that's why you might be feeling this whole darkness. and suffocation.
I think that what Kabul does is it triggers. Kabul triggers you in a way that no other place can. And again, like the expat community that was there, I think that, you know, in America, they call it this, you know, the white savior complex, right? So people, their intention is, hey, I'm going to go and I'm going to save Afghans, or I'm going to do good and everything like that, which for the most part, a lot of them were doing good things. You can't say that they were all like, I want to say, you know, self-centered or their intention was bad. I knew a lot of expats that were doing really incredible work, and when everything happened in August, they had nervous breakdowns because they had done years of work trying to create schools and organizations and everything like that. But I do know that there was an element of this. Well, you said that, you know, Afghanistan being the land of martyrs and everything, you know, what's happening what's happening in Afghanistan right now is not different from what's happening in America right now. It's a level playing field on consciousness. So there's no ego anymore. There's no white savior. There's no America the Great. There's none of that shit anymore. Because right now, you know, they talk about, you know, women's rights, for example. And women are fighting here for their rights the same way women are fighting for their rights over there. So the idea of this place being a superpower is totally out the window. And if we think about how everything happened in the first place with the Russian invasion and, you know, the battle of the superpowers, and Afghanistan just always being this battlefield. And it's just not in the best interests of the West, of the world, for Afghanistan to be sovereign, for Afghanistan to be on its feet. Because I always say, Afghanistan is actually a place that was the center of enlightenment that thousands of years ago. That is why the world has projected all its shadow, all its negativity to Afghanistan. The light is too bright there if it's allowed. And that's like a lot of the reason that, you know, Bedar came into inception was, you know, it's important.
I love it. I love Bedar. Yeah.
And
beautiful.
It's about, thank you. It's about this, you know, waking up to not just your light, but waking up to your darkness and facing yourself. And when we can look at our darkness, and when we can look, then we can embrace our light, we are whole. Because if we are denying our shadow, if we are denying our darkness, if we're not facing it, then we're not complete. We are not authentic. We are not fully expressing ourselves. We are not fully living. And
Bravo.
I think that's the thing with our people is I feel, you know, it's very hard for us to face ourselves and to face, it's very easy to blame, but it's not easy for people to face themselves.
Bravo, bravo, beautifully said. Beautifully said. No wonder I call you teacher. Obviously, just this whole wisdom just pours out, and hopefully that a lot of us can actually absorb it, because these are very big and in-depth concepts and fundamental to our lives. Obviously, shout out to Ustad Yusuf and his talk as well. I just love that dude. I mean, he's super cool dude. What is Reiki and energy healing? Because you do 3 types of Reiki. You're a master of 3 types. Give us a little bit for those who don't know, like me.
Okay.
What is Reiki?
So Reiki is it's a universal life force. So we all have access to energy, and we have energy body. We have energy bodies as well. And what Reiki is that you actually have the ability to heal yourself with this energy, this life force energy. And in different cultures, I mean, Reiki is Japanese based. It has like kind of like a Buddhist foundation, but you know, other cultures, like, you know, in India they call it prana, you know, and then there's kundalini, which is your spine. It's the serpent power, which is in your spine. That's also energy. And when you find Reiki in your life, you're able to self-regulate. You're able to, like, if you have anxiety or you're feeling, you know, like you don't feel safe, you can do Reiki on yourself. You can self-soothe, self-regulate. And then doing Reiki on other people, you basically are activating that life force energy in them. So a healer is basically activating your ability to self-heal. So when I work on people, it's not so much I'm healing them, I'm activating the energy that's already in them, that may be dormant, that may be asleep, so that the body can heal itself, the soul can heal itself, because they're not separate from one another. They're all one system of wholeness. And you know, Reiki is also, you know, you have like these energy centers, your chakras, you know, keeping those balanced. They all represent something different. So it's a whole complex system. But at the end of the day, Reiki is from the heart. This is where you receive Reiki from. So it comes from here through your crown chakra down to your heart, and then out of your heart into your hands. And then that's why, and then right now, like my hands are vibrating, and it generates heat, generates energy. And, you know, that's how you do it. And, you know, it's been a very interesting journey. I mean, I've been doing it for now, like, I want to say 7 years. And
it actually happened after your experiences in Kabul?
yes.
That you started practicing? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So why do we have different types? I mean, you actually invented your own, called the cosmic Reiki.
Yeah.
And then you've got the angelic Reiki, and then you've got the Usu, which is apparently derived from the name of the person who. Yeah.
Usui is the name of the master that created Reiki. His name's Master Usui. So that's Usui Reiki. That's the general form of Reiki that you see everywhere.
Okay.
And so then angelic Reiki is kind of it's a higher octave of energy work. It's a different, and you know, I've been working with angels for a long time, and this is it's more intense, the energy, and also the sessions are shorter. It's a different type of energy.
So working with angels means that you're actually connected to, literally, as we know the term angels. So you're actually connected. Does it has to do anything with rituals of summoning angels? Have you been through those?
Well, you can call on your angels anytime you want. Like before this IG live, I called in an angel to protect the energy of this conversation. And you know, the main angel that I am very connected to is Gabriel. Gabriel is the angel that I am very connected to. And I have a lot of personal spiritual connection with Gabriel, and Gabriel is the messenger angel, and Gabriel, and
Yep.
Yeah, and
Yep.
then I have the cosmic Reiki is
Yeah.
something I created. I actually had a brain injury about 5 years ago. And during my recovery, this came to me. And I started, and so what I do is I mix astrology. I can look at somebody's birth chart and I can move the energy of their soul blueprint. And I can see their karmic lessons. I can see their ancestral patterns. And I can move the energy based on I can do like in a session, like a conversation. And I taught it for the first time. And in August, while everything was happening, I had about 8 students graduate. They just learned it. So now they're going to be doing it. So yeah, it's all been about how we move energy and understanding that it's so powerful when we really understand it. And especially in a world, like I said, that there's a lot of dark energy. There's a lot of subconscious dark energy that is being projected out, especially with everything that's going on in Afghanistan. It's about us knowing that, as Afghans, we are the ultimate alchemists. And we know how to turn pain into power. We know how to turn it into love. And this is what we need right now. And even when everything was happening, I said, what this situation needs is love. We don't need any more, pain and suffering, even though everybody should have their experience. Everybody should honor whatever they feel, whether they feel numb, whether they want to cry or anything like that. But it's about how do we look inwards and honor our own suffering and say, hey, I don't want to keep feeling like this. What can I do to honor my suffering and also not feel helpless with what's happening? And that's one of the things that I've talked about with people who are in Afghanistan. And I work with people all the time about solutions, about what can we really control. That's the main question. What are the things that we can control? It's really important that we can come to a space of presence and not get into these kind of spiraling, as I call it. People will spiral, and you see a lot of this on Twitter, right?
Mm-hmm.
You see a lot of this on Twitter where people are just spiraling, and they're not finding solutions. They're not regulating their nervous system. They're just spiraling, and it's not good for them. It's not good for the energy that we're sending to our people that are suffering so much over there. We need to find ways to regulate ourselves. We need to look at our own suffering. We need to heal ourselves so that we can act from a conscious place.
Bravo. When you talk about this whole spiraling act of a lot of our people, God bless them, are doing, would it be fair to say for me that this is some sort of a trait of a kid who's upset about something? He's just running around and insisting on the thing that they want or they think it's right, and they're just going round and round about the same thing instead of detaching themselves, coming out of what they actually think it's right and looking outward and find the solution. Is that a nice way to put it?
You know what it is, Lamajan? It's not as simple as that, because at the end of the day, in our genetics, in our biology, we are Afghan. So whatever's happening in Afghanistan, we are feeling it on a somatic level, in the body, right?
Yeah.
And so it's, what are we doing with that? Because at the end of the day, this whole, not just Afghanistan, this whole world is a bunch of hurt children. that is the leaders that are in power. It's a bunch of abused children.
Exactly.
Okay.
Bravo.
And
Bravo.
and how do you combat that, right? The only way the best way to combat it is to heal your inner child. And so you can help heal other children.
Bravo. Bravo. Talking about our Afghan people, specifically Afghan, be it in Afghanistan or outside Afghanistan. If they wanted to actually practice and get something good for themselves and their family and for their future, using Reiki, practicing Reiki, is it possible for them to do it on their own, or they actually need somebody at all times?
You know, the best thing that I've done is because I have friends in Afghanistan currently, and I've done like Reiki attunements. I can do them from here. So I can send Reiki from here. And I've done it on some people. And one of the things that I think has been really effective is I send these videos of sound healing frequencies. So there's frequencies that are like for heart chakra, like to basically like open your heart, calm your heart. And then there's also root chakra, which is a very, very important one for Afghans. The root chakra is our base chakra. It's at the bottom of the spine, and it's our sense of security. It's our sense of security. It's our sense of safety, which a lot of Afghans who, migrated or they were refugees, their root chakra is completely gone because they're floating energetically. So grounding is so important for our people. Being in our bodies, doing things like being in nature, doing yoga, exercising, doing things to be in our body is so important. So these are the kind of things that I've been doing, and one of my friends has an organization in Herat that I've been advising for about several years that has to do with, it's a movement of like loving awareness and kindness and teaching forgiveness to Afghans. And also now his sister has an organization that's helping women in Herat. And I've been talking to him about like, how is the organization now with everything that's going on? And so now they're getting, because what they do is they do like counseling for women in Herat. And so the work is continuing there. And, he also has like a message, like on Telegram, he has a group where he does breath work. He puts breath work recordings, and then the whole group does the breath work. And so I've been in touch. I've been seeing like, all these things that are being done very like underground, like but as far as like Afghans that are here, or diaspora, the word diaspora, it's so elegant, diaspora. I had a Reiki clinic where I invited Afghans to come get Reiki for 30 minutes. And it was a lot for them. It was a lot lifted. I had one woman who came in crying, and she said, I don't know why. She's like, I started crying before I even walked in, because she ended up having like a big healing. And also like with the refugees that are coming here, being placed here, I have students that are Afghan Reiki healers. Wow. And they were like, Farah, let's go work on the refugees right now. Like they were really passionate, really beautiful hearts, these students. And I told them, I said, right now, I said, what's important is that they get settled. Let them get settled. let them get home, let them go to because a lot of them had to go to dentists, doctors, let them get their clothes, let them get settled first. I said, if an Afghan that has been living here, was born here and raised here, could only handle 30 minutes, what do you think someone who who was just recently traumatized, how they would be feeling if they received that energy work? And right now I'm talking to this organization about creating these recordings of meditations and breath work that are going to be done in Farsi. I'm going to do them in Farsi. And so that they can listen to it, that they can, do some breathing exercises, very, very simple things, very, very simple things. You can't pour Reiki on them. You can't pour all these things that are like Western and stuff. You have to be so delicate with them, like a flower. Like, you have to be so delicate, and you have to do things like spoon-fed, like, because they've been through so much. They can't handle all these different like healing concepts all at once. If anything, the best thing is to just like listening to Quran Sharif. That is a healing right there. That's a sound healing. The vibration of Quran it opens the heart, and Surah Yasin, that's the one that I listen to the most. And that for me is like a sound healing, a heart opening, a Reiki. So you have to understand.
How do you mix, or how do you interconnect the spiritual healing or spiritual practices of Afghanistan, which is mainly to do with Sufism, in Reiki? Where do you find this bridge which connects these both? Because obviously you're a very Sufi individual yourself. Where did you find this bridge?
Well, I guess one other thing I'll add to that is that we do have shamanism in Afghanistan. We do have like these people that do like natural remedies, and they know how to move, they know how to work with energy, and they know how to work with spirits. I met one, actually. I met a female shaman in Parwan, outside of Kabul.
Okay.
And I met her, and obviously at that time I was not spiritually awakened or anything like that, but for some reason I was in her energy, and I was seeing like that she was very mystical, and she was very grounded, and there was a magic to her, and she was a healer. And as far as like Sufism and healing, my own ancestors, they were Sufis, and they were all from, Mazar, Balkh. And I mean, I'm an Afghan, I'll joke with you, I'm from all parts of Afghanistan.
Beautiful.
People would come to me in Kabul, "Tu az kujasti, familit az kujast," and stuff like that. I would go, "Ma az Afghanistan astam bachim." That's it.
Bravo.
That's all you're gonna get out of me.
Bravo.
Baba Kalana EKS, I was like, chill out. So, but I feel like, in Sufism, like, zikr is energy. The way that zikr is done, it's an energy movement. It's a remembrance. It's an energy movement. So it's not separate from like any energy movement I do in this format. It's like what I said. It's like in this world, in every single tradition, in every single religion, every single philosophy, there is a form of energy movement that is done. And Atan. Do you know where Atan comes from?
I may not know the exact history.
So Atan, at that time, there was a tribe. There was a tribe in southern Afghanistan. It was called the Zhun tribe, Z-H-U-N. At that time, this tribe worshipped the sun. And the dance that they did for the sun was Atan. Atan is a dance for the sun. And again, Atan is energy movement. Like when you see zikr, when they're going in the circle and they're moving the energy, and then they're doing the breath work and everything, this is a whole, like, this puts you in a psychedelic state. This is where you get connected to the divine.
Wow.
So
Mind blowing. My mind just went boom. Okay. Yeah.
So there is, this is the thing, is that, you know, I was talking to someone yesterday, and I said, and I've been posting about this, I said, Afghanistan is the home of universal consciousness. It was a place where seven major religions coexisted. And where's the other place that religions coexisted as one? It's Palestine, Jerusalem. And where are the two places that have the most drama right now, and trauma and attacking and death and everything? It's the two places that had the coexistence of all philosophies, of all religion.
Wow. I don't usually get that speechless, but I am. I mean, it is a lot to take in, because of how you could say maybe it's a simple matter of connecting to yourself and to your soul and spirit, and trying to do logically what's good for your body and your mind, and that's how you work on the soul. But when you go in depth, the practices and what are the don'ts and do's, and how there are different types and different kinds of approaches to all this, that's where it gets a bit dull in my head. If somebody couldn't approach teacher like yourself, a healer, and they're in Afghanistan, and as you mentioned that there are practices they can do, so would that be useful for them in a long term, or is it just they have to keep continuing taking these lessons or trying to follow these practices? Where do you actually look at where you find a place where you are like, okay, you know, I have attained that inner peace and my soul is at rest, and I can spread it to the other people as well? Have you found that place yet? Is it findable?
I mean, I find my inner peace every day. No matter what's going on in my life, no matter what's going on in my day, that's basically the gift of all the alchemy, of all the pain and suffering, and the wisdom that I attained from it, was that I can face anything, that I can find my peace. I think that for our people, when you're talking about learning a practice, like when I'm teaching a student, or, you know, that's really not necessary for an Afghan that is in Afghanistan right now, because what they need right now first is they need healthcare, they need education, they need basic needs. But I think that they have what they need right now, which is, you know, dua. They have prayer. They have prayer and
The faith.
And that's the thing that we Afghans have, is that it's the faith that has gotten us through all of this. It's the faith that is going to get our people through everything that is happening right now. And that's why we have to hold it. We have to hold the light as much as we can, even though, you know, I have my moments too where it's a lot. You know, August was really, really, it was a lot for all of us. And It doesn't matter how much healing work I've done or how many people I've worked on or anything like that. At the end of the day, you know, this is my DNA, and I love my people. And my grandfather was of service for 50 years. He loved his people. You know, I always say people over politics. I don't like to get into the politics of things. You know, right now, my concern is just feeding half of the country right now, like just getting money over there and just making sure that people can survive, feed these poor babies that are malnourished, they don't have milk. This is my concern, is just the basic human needs. And one of the things that we Afghans have to face is this idea that we should not exist, that the world is showing us that we should not exist. And I think that that's something that a lot of Afghans have lived with, that I shouldn't exist. Because look at what they did to my country. Look at what they're doing to my people. But if anything, this is the opportunity to show who we really are. And to show that we exist, and we are going to, with whatever way we can right now, we will help our people at our best capacity. Because they are us. We are not separate from them.
Bravo. Farajan Aziz, thank you very much. Very, very productive, and we are privileged. I have one question from someone called, I think it's Christina Emrios. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. Says, Assalamu alaikum, brother and sister. Wa alaikum assalam. What is a Sufi practice that could help people struggling to find the light in the collective darkness right now?
Well, you know, this is probably more of a Yusuf question. But as far as like to get technical with Sufi practices, but I mean, I would just say personally, just because for me, Sufism is anything that is aligned with the heart space. And, you know, for me, like listening to like certain prayers, listening to zikr, that's kind of like the practice that I do. I think that if she's a practicing Muslim, you know, prayer, I think that I feel actually that those things open your heart. And that's, and you know what it is? We make things more complicated than they should be. Something as simple as praying or listening to a prayer, or, you know, holding your hand on your heart. Something as simple as how many times do people like do that? A lot of people actually forget how to breathe. People are forgetting to breathe, actually. I know in Sufism, there's breath work involved too. So doing any kind of breath work is really, really powerful right now with everything that's happening right now, the being in the darkness. And, you know, breathing was a big theme last year with COVID and not being able to breathe, and so many people passing away. And we hold so much grief in our lungs. That's where we hold our grief, is in our lungs. So if you want to release grief, you know, you can put your hands on your rib cage, like where your lungs are, and you can listen to prayer, you can listen to meditation, and you can feel it and you can release it out of you, because our bodies really, really hold a lot of it, and we're not aware of it. So I hope that answers your question, kind of.
Oh, I think pretty sure as far as it would be me, understanding the question that was beautifully replied with very logical practices from your own wisdom and teachings. I may add something which I'm in no position or knowledge to advise, but what I do in this case, I may not know if it's Sufi or not on that. I'm unlucky. Unfortunately, I'm not a Sufi. But I think it's a very famous saying that if you want to hear from your Lord, read the book of your Lord. And if you want to talk to your Lord, just pray. So I think as far as Sufism goes, those two practices are very common. Read Quran by heart. Just read it and feel it. Do not just go over it. Do not just read it as what the word is. Just try to find the meaning. And pray. I think that's the biggest and the most fundamental aspects of Sufism, how they can tackle the inner darkness. And of course, knowing thyself is knowing your God. That's Imam Ghazali. So yeah, I think that would be my 2 cents on that. Qais Pirzad, bro,
hi Kais.
how are you? The maestro?
That's the Ustad right there.
That is the Ustad. And of course, I'm chasing him for a
oh my God,
while now.
I would love to be there for that one. I want to see Kais.
Yeah,
Kais's the art of art.
let's hope that he will honor us. So he's saying, what an enriching conversation. Thank you both. Thank you. As Jonathan, but I'm a nobody. It's all our teacher here.
No.
Karajan. We have Ahoy Weislack from US. Not a question, but thank you both so much for your time.
It's a collaboration. It's a collaboration.
Thank you very much, Karajan Akand, and Wise John. Thank you very much for being here and listening, obviously. And Christina says, Sister Farah, can you please share reputable charities and organizations where we can send sadaqah donations from the heart to in Afghanistan? And that's something that I wanted to ask you. We have spoken about this. You do have an initiative. What is that? If you can give us a quick.
I mean, I personally, I don't have one, but I've been supporting certain initiatives. I think Pashtana's initiative, Learn AFG. I've been supporting her. I've been supporting Hand to Hand Sadqa. That's another Farah.
Yep.
Her organization is feeding many people in Afghanistan, and Asil app is doing very great work as well.
God bless.
Shukr, there's so many people on the ground over there that from the beginning they've just been getting food to these people in these rural places, these hard to get places. It's honestly like I've been telling people that you have to see the miracles that are happening, getting this food to these people in this kind of condition when the banks and the money is frozen and everything, and we're still channeling this money and we're channeling this energy there. So those are the few that I support. And usually what I do is I'm more of I'm more intuitive with my support. Whatever needs attention at that moment, I will support it. And then once it's like the money's been raised and it's gotten attention, then I'll find another organization. But I think a lot of because there's two sides to this. There's the refugee resettlement here, and then there's what's happening in Afghanistan. But right now, what's happening over there is priority because it's winter and people are starving. So getting as much money over there as possible to get people fed, and also if getting them like medical, that's another thing, medical help. I raised money for WFP, for food.
Yes, you're covering that. Yep.
So you know, we do what we can, you know, we do what we can.
God bless.
We take care of ourselves. We take care of ourselves, and then we do what we can. And when we can take care of ourselves, we have the capacity to do more. That's the
Only
thing.
then we can do it for the others. Indeed.
Yeah,
Indeed.
it's when
Remember,
we're depleted, we can't do things with intention and with energy and with love and make a bigger impact.
Of course, we all should remember the follow-up to your teachings is that when on a flight, if something happens and the oxygen mask comes down, you put the mask on yourself first,
exactly,
so you're able to help the others.
Exactly.
So yes, please do that, because even the charity first starts at home. Mm-hmm. It's because you have to have the capacity in order to help the others. Ustad al-Muhtaram, mother healer, our teacher. Thank you very much. You have honored us.
No, thank you. This was a joy.
This will be a message in a bottle in the ocean of time, which our youngsters will hopefully find in the future, and they will know about you.
Thank you.
And the work that you have done. Any last words for our people inside Afghanistan, outside Afghanistan? Any last words in addition to other wisdom that you have shared?
In your darkest hour, God is always with you.
So remember your God. Remember your God. Beautiful. I am in no position to say anything to our people, especially when
you are. Yeah. Please say something. You are.
Ustad, with your kind permission, I would like to just add something at the end. Is that remember your God and your God's teachings and the saints and the prophets. It's all documented. Today it's more accessible than it was 100 years ago. So remember that we humans are gifted by our Lord, just like our teacher Farah here and other Sufis and spiritual people that have been gifted by our Lord Odaima. And they can channel light which has been gifted to them. So do believe, do trust, do have faith in your God, and do become one spiritually with individuals like Farah. But be careful about there are people out there, especially in Afghanistan, who would try to reel you in with jadoo, with taweez, with all those dark magics and rituals and whatnot. Be clean, keep yourself clean, connect with beautiful and clean and enlightened souls, just like Farah and a lot of our Sufis and spiritual people. Again, keep yourself and your soul clean, and God will be angry. Niyata pak manzil asan. Farah, I cannot thank you enough. Thank you very much. This wisdom I have to process, and I have to actually take the pleasure of feeling and absorbing it. So hopefully, inshallah, someday we will have the opportunity to have the team of Bedari, Ustad Mustaq and Ustad Siddiq, to talk purely about Sufism. Inshallah, hopefully you two will have time and will give us the privilege. So thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much for your beautiful messages. You made our days, our nights bright.
No, thank you. Thank you for having me. I love that, I was able to have, this conversation with an Afghan brother, and, my audience is the world, but I'm Afghan at the end of the day. And so doing this is healing for me,
Thank you very much.
Thank you for creating the space. Thank you.
Oh, I'm honored. I will let you kindly go to your own work. I know you're a very busy individual. You are doing a very productive work. But on the ending note, I would say this is a poem from our very own Maulana, who says that سیپار بکف در چله شدی سیپار بکف در چله شدی سیپار منم ترک چله کن سنما بیا دل یک دل کن. It's all about the heart. It's all about the heart. The love and the spirit and God's love. God is always in your reach. Just call on to him and he's there.
It's beautiful. Beautiful. And I always, my favorite saying, and I post it all the time, is, you know, dil ba dil ra dara. I say that this is what our people are. Mm-hmm. We are the bridges between hearts. So I believe that.
SubhanAllah. SubhanAllah. Again, teacher, sister, mother healer. Thank you very much. Hope you have a great evening.
Thank you so
hope
much.
To see you again soon. This is Lamar from Voices from the Mountains with Farah Siddiq. I will post all the links for the charities as she mentioned earlier under our video. So thank you very much. Hope you have a great night, great day. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Bye.